I don't want to, Anthony. But also, I kind of do. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. In a way, since last night, well, one, I made a huge whoopsie on the show yesterday. I said that the draft lottery, Anthony, was going to be at halftime of the first game because that's when it used to be. They changed it, and it was before the first game last night. And I hope that it saved you from watching the frustration in real time. That you just got an alert on your phone that told you that the Wizards got the 6th pick. And then you're like, dang, I thought the thing was later. Hoffman lied to me. My bad on that. Sorry, it's not the worst thing that happened to you yesterday. If you care about the Wizards in the draft lottery, because the Wizards got the 6th pick. Anthony, you ready for the funny headline?
Uh-oh.
A monumentally bad night in DC sports. Caps.
Perfect.
Ugh. Wizards. Ugh. Leonsis is trying to buy the Nationals too. Ugh. 0 for 3. On the way out of the door yesterday, I saw our good friend Victor, Slick Vic Ferreira, as he was producing the Nats game, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm just gonna need the Nats to take one on the chin tonight. They play baseball again tomorrow. We'll figure that out then." The Nats lost. They've lost 6 in a row. But we couldn't get the other victories. Capitals, they had it for a moment. They had that 5-on-3. Ovi finally got on the board. It's like, hey now, all right, we're on a power play. Can we get another one here? And now that we're back to 5-on-4, can we make? Nope. Got back to full strength 2 minutes later. Hurricanes score. Got some empty netters. They go down, and then that's all after the Wizards just get the worst possible outcome. And I want to talk about the NBA draft lottery at large in a few, but just in terms of the Wizards, like I'm really struggling on what to make of it. Because on one hand, it's catastrophic. It is rare that you have as surefire of a really great prospect as Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg has it all together mentally. Physically, he is exceptional. He plays both ends of the floor. Like, there is so much good to him as a prospect. And if you could have just gotten the 2nd pick, Dylan Harper has a lot of the same stuff. He's really, really good. Lefty, point guard, plays both ends, plays hard, can shoot it, can score it. Like, he's got areas to improve, as does Flagg. But, like, these guys are potential multi-time all-stars. And in Flagg's case, I think he could be a generational talent, one of the best guys in the league, a true best player on a championship roster type guy. And you didn't get it. And obviously, the fact that the Mavs do get it is just the most insulting thing in the world. But we'll talk about that in a few. Getting the 6th pick in this draft can get you another piece that's really, really good and really, really helpful. My current favorite piece is Trey Johnson, the shooting guard out of Texas. He's an exceptional shooter, like really, 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 really high-level shooter, who has great positional size, and that's something that, all those Oklahoma City scouts, if you will, they love that kind of stuff, the positional size, and why wouldn't you? And Dawkins and Winger come from that tree under Sam Presti. And he also provides a level of shooting that they don't really have. And so as a fit next to guys like Bub Carrington moving forward and Alex Sarr, to have a true floor spacer, who, by the way, also has all of the off-the-court stuff, is like on lock, true professional already at 19. That to me is my current odds-on favorite for the guy that I would like for them to have the opportunity to take at 6. I will admit that comes from a lot of reading and watching some coverage, not so much from breaking down their tape. I will do that with Ace Bailey and VJ Edgecombe and Fears, the point guard out of Oklahoma, Maliuk, the center out of Duke, Con Knipple. Like, all these guys are kind of in that next bucket. So I'll have more thought-out thoughts on who I think the Wizards should pursue over the next month here as we lead into the NBA draft. But not all is lost, and you know that next year's draft is also stupid loaded. There's really good guys. There's 3 dudes at the top of that draft who are thought to be really, really like all-star caliber player prospects. And the Wizards have every incentive to try to be near the top of next year's draft because they have the 8th overall pick. Or if they don't have the 8th overall pick or better, their pick will go to the New York Knicks from a trade that predates Michael Winger and Will Dawkins, because it was so long ago at this point, like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't even remember what trade it was. I don't think it was the Bogdanovich trade, but it might have been. No, he was with the Nets. Who they even trade with the Knicks for?
The Wizards?
Yeah. Who'd they get from the Knicks? Where does that pick even come from?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, I don't know either. So it's a gut punch if you're the Wizards. It's not catastrophic. And in fact, I need to spend more time with Will Dawkins because I think I'd be a better person. Here's Will being an adult afterwards.
There is a process that y'all have been committed to.
Question by David Aldridge, as if you didn't recognize the voice.
And have not skipped. At the end of that process is supposed to be some sort of reward, incentive for doing things the way you're supposed to do them. And I just wonder, this, I know you're like 6, but you weren't working for 6. You know what I mean?
I think the important piece is when we came in, we knew there was a 50% chance that you get 5 or 6. So you're going into the lottery odds knowing that that's most likely where you're going to be. And it's a game of chance. But like you said, this rebuild that we're on, we're still in the phases of it. So there will be more and more rewards at the end of the tunnel. But I think 6 is a reward for where we're at right now. And we'll be able to use it and make our team better.
And that they will. And if you look at teams like the Indiana Pacers, who are on the verge of the Eastern Conference Finals, that's a team that has a bunch of homegrown talent. And they made one really smart trade with the Sacramento Kings where they gave up Domas Sabonis and they got back Tyrese Halliburton. And Halliburton has just blossomed into a star. And if they can find that guy somewhere else in the league, a young, burgeoning player that they maybe even trade, I know this sounds crazy right now, but could they trade a Bilal Coulibaly for in a couple years, someone who they think is a better fit, and that guy turns into Tyrese Halliburton? This is the kind of things that you're going to have to do. I also think that Will probably is already working the phones, and Michael is they're all those guys, all their scouts, all their everybody, because this is every organization is like this, is in Chicago right now at the NBA Draft Combine, and there's no doubt that they are talking to folks. I guarantee you they're talking to San Antonio, and they're like, hey, what would it take to get to 2? And the first thing you have to hope for is that Giannis decides he wants to stay in Milwaukee, because you're not beating an offer that has Giannis in it. But if you've got the 6th pick and they are looking for more shooting, could 6 and Corey Kispert and something else work to get up to 2 and get Dylan Harper? Dallas is not entertaining trades for the number 1 pick. They're taking flag, and that includes a potential Giannis pick. That's the reporting from ESPN and others today. So these are, then at that point you start calling Philadelphia about 3. And do you get up, or are you on draft night just seeing how things fall? And if you need to get up to 5 or 4, do you make a move then? The Wizards have the 18th pick as well. And we know will maneuver if they have to. So that's kind of where the Wizards are after all of this. By the way, Anthony, thank you for sending me this. The Knicks acquired a 2024 first-round pick from the Wizards as part of the trade package involving John Wall and Russell Westbrook. The Knicks received a 2024 top 12 protected pick from the Wizards, which the Wizards retained because they landed the 14th overall pick in the 2024 draft. In the 25 draft, the Wizards' first-round pick is protected 1 through 10. And so obviously they're keeping it then. It will go to the Knicks. If it doesn't convey in 2026, this AI breakdown is wrong. That's all I know about that, because it has the years and stuff wrong. This is why you don't use the AI breakdowns. They're off by a year. Because it's like in 2025, if the Wizards is 1 through 10, if it falls out that range. Additionally, if the Wizards don't convey a first-round pick to the Knicks in 2025, they will instead send a 2026 and 2027 second-round pick. That's not true. If it doesn't convey in 2026, they send a second-round pick in 2027. Because it's top 8 protected next year. And also, how does the Knicks were in the John Wall, Russell Westbrook trade?
Nah, Craig, it's actually right. I'm on SI right now as well.
It's probably that's where it pulled it from. Don't make me.
It said it
Fanspo.
can still transfer to the next year if Washington falls outside the top 8 at the
Yeah,
2026 election.
that's what I said, not what that AI summary thing that you sent me says.
Oh.
Real intelligence, not artificial. See what I did there? All right, when we get back, I have larger thoughts on the NBA draft lottery, and then we are going to take calls. It's a Vibe Check Tuesday. I know the vibes are not good, but 4:30 we're going to take your calls. I might even get to some next, but I think the NBA has both a style and a substance problem when it comes to the NBA draft lottery, and the style might actually be more important than the substance. I'll explain next on the Hoffman Show. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We're taking your calls at 4:30 on the NBA Draft Lottery. But I would like to talk about the Draft Lottery first, both generically and about the Wizards. And those two things are obviously related. I'm seeing all of this through a Wizards lens. I'm a local talk show host in D.C., and I have been very impressed with what the Wizards front office has done since they have taken over, the current iteration of them. And I think that if you were going to set up something in the way that the league is currently set up, to have the gut punch that was last night is not fair to them. And frankly, like, forget them for a second. It's not fair to all of you. It's not fair to fans who have had to sit through the absolute nonsense that has been Wizards basketball since basically 1979. So it is very frustrating to sit here today on a day where not only do the Wizards drop down from having the second worst record in the league, where they could have had the worst record had they really botched the final possession of the regular season. Instead, Bub Carrington hits a game winner, and I was like, maybe this is how you get your hopes up. This right here, this feels like the basketball gods interjecting some goodness. Nope, just another kick to the not great. But the Dallas freaking Mavericks, a team that just botched a generational superstar in a way that was insulting to everything that could ever exist about this league and the game and the sport. They get it, and the Spurs pick second, and all they've ever done when they've been in the lottery is get David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Victor Wembanyama, and they got Wembanyama 2 years ago, and Stephon Castle last year wound up winning Rookie of the Year. And the Sixers are bad once. They've still got Embiid, and they got Tyrese Maxey, and they get to be third. And then of all the teams that have been bad, the Hornets have been a model of ineptitude forever. They're more inept than the Wizards, historically speaking. And they're the team that at least gets to the top four of the three teams that had the top odds: Wizards, Jazz, and Hornets. Gross. But when we talk about the NBA Draft Lottery, I think there are two separate conversations that are obviously intertwined. And in a weird way, I think they're kind of backwards in importance. Because typically I'm a substance person. I am hey, let's talk about what's the real point here. We can worry about optics later. I care about the substance of how things are run, the decisions that are made. What are you actually trying to do? Not necessarily. I'm willing to look past some of the initial optics of things. But eventually you can't ignore optics. And so when we talk about the style or the substance of what is it that the NBA Draft Lottery is trying to accomplish? Is it trying to de-incentivize tanking? Is it trying to accomplish some element of fairness, some element of competitive parity, where you're giving certain teams chances to be good, but also, again, you're trying to make sure that they don't try too bad, too hard to be bad. That way you don't wind up with the worst team always getting the worst pick in a race to the bottom. Like, what are you trying to actually accomplish with that? That has become secondary to the fact that on the style side of the style and substance, there are way too many people that think the NBA is rigged. And I think the league has to look itself in the mirror today and say, our biggest problem is not tanking. It's that people think our league is rigged. And that is the worst thing you can have as a sports league. Because if people think the competition isn't on the level, they won't watch. Now, to be clear, I think this is all on the level. It's heinously unlikely that what has happened over the last couple of years. We're talking about fractions of percentages here, because the ninth best team, I believe it was in the Hawks last year, the 10th best team, had like a 3% chance. This year, the Navs have a 1.8% chance. You multiply those two numbers together, I think is how that math works, and that's the chance that happens over the course of 2 years. Add in the fact the Mavs had to, do exactly what they did in the regular season, then had to lose the play-in game to Memphis, and they had to win a coin flip. Like, it's just tremendously unlikely, but it is what it is. Like, there are people in that room that are, one, would be committing felonies in terms of the fraud. And I realize that the firm Ernst & Young has actually been sued for fraud before, but that's what happens when you're a gigantic firm. Every firm has been sued on that level, or a lot of them have been sued on that level. But you'd have a firm like an accounting firm committing fraud. You'd have all of the team representatives, including the 13 that lose, have to be in on it because they're in the room where it happens. And you have media that rotates through every single year that's not, again, in the room where they show the cards on TV, what we see, that is in the actual ping pong balls room. And you have to, the only way that's feasible to remotely try to do something on that circumstances is if somehow the lottery balls were weighted. And I'm sure that there are safeguards in place that prevent that. But even then, you can't guarantee anything. This is just happening. But we, for whatever reason, we as human beings want to ascribe reason to everything, even things that are games of chance. There's a reason why everything happens, and whether that is you're someone who just kind of believes there's a reason for everything, or that's your religion, or it's just the human condition, like whatever the reasoning is, we try to ascribe meaning to everything. There's no meaning to this. It's dumb ping pong balls that keep falling in the dumbest possible way. I can know that. Doesn't matter if everyone else thinks it's rigged. Doesn't matter. The NBA has an image problem in this way, and they need to fix it. And whether that is unweighting the lottery, whether that is getting rid of the lottery altogether, I certainly have some ideas, but it can't go on like this. And I think that does get into the substance argument, because I have heard both sides of this over the last couple of hours as I've listened to a couple different podcasts and read a couple different columns, and there is the same point that is made and then two different conclusions that are drawn from it. The point is, since they flattened the lottery odds 7 years ago, the team with the worst record has never won the lottery, and thus this is a failure. And then there's other people that say that happening actually means it's success because you've de-incentivized tanking. The problem is you haven't de-incentivized tanking. Utah got fined $100,000 in the middle of the season because they were tanking so hard. You have teams that could either maybe make a playoff push or shut some stars down towards the end of the season, and they'd rather shut the stars down. And I think most notably on the evidence, if you're the Mavs and you just had the best thing happen to you that you could possibly imagine, winning the lottery at a 1.8% odd, and you only had that 1.8% because you lost in the play-in tournament, what do you think is better? The Mavs winning the play-in tournament or winning the lottery? You've just said, hey, this is possible. And so you have to decide, like, what are we actually trying to accomplish here? And I think what the things you're balancing are giving bad teams hope. And bad teams are going to bad team. They're going to screw it up. Charlotte, Utah, the Wizards for much of their history. There's so many teams that if it just had bad executives in charge or bad ownership or whatever the different reasons are, that they have screwed stuff up or just gotten unlucky. So you can't guarantee parity. And I also think there's a good point to be made that parity in the NBA is somewhat overrated. This league is at its highest when there are two Goliaths colliding. Lakers, Celtics, Cavs, Warriors, Bulls, Jazz. Pick your Lakers, whoever, Spurs. Pick your rivalries of the last 30, 40 years of the NBA since it's been at its peak, going back to Lakers, Celtics in the 80s. So there might even have a parity being overrated in the first place. And so ultimately, like, what you've got to decide is, if you're the league, what do you want to accomplish? How much parity are you trying to create? What's the system that you want to implement? And how do we make sure that that system isn't some game of chance that doesn't feel like it's on the level? Because if you just take the lottery away, or I think my favorite solution that I've come up with so far is, let's do a lottery for the first overall pick. And we're going to flatten the odds. So if you miss the playoffs, that'd be 14 teams that miss the playoffs. This is math I could have done before the show, but it's me. I forget math all the time. That's a 7.14% chance. Each team has 7.14% chance of getting the number one overall pick. And if you get the number one overall pick, congrats, you've won the lottery. And if you don't, the worst you're going to do is move down one spot. But we're not doing 4, because I think this is where this thing has gone too far for me right now. The fact that the Wizards went from 2nd to 6th is ridiculous. The Jazz went from 1 to 5 is ridiculous. The Wizards go from 2 to 3, fine. Jazz go 1 to 2, that's fine. The Mavs getting the number one pick is going to make me mad forever, but fine. If they get it, okay. But it just feels, and I feel like the NBA gets way too cute with this stuff way too often, with the contracts, with the second apron, with all. The league just needs to say, hey, we've done too much. Let's strip this thing down. Let's make this easier to follow for fans. And let's not start over because you're 75 years into the league, but almost 80 years into the league at this point. But we're gonna rethink how this whole thing goes to try to make it that teams are playing each day to win. And at the end of the season, if you haven't done the winning, then you got a chance to add a really good player, and you try again next year. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. We'll take your calls on what happened to the Wizards and the lottery writ large next. The Wizards fall to 6th in the NBA draft lottery after having the second position. The worst they could have done. They needed 4 teams who were below them all to jump them. That is exactly what happened. They also needed the Utah Jazz to fall to 5th, which is what happened to them. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. Your Wizards or general NBA draft/draft lottery thoughts. Let's start off with Ray and Frederick. Ray, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, Craig. So thank you for taking my call. The simplest thing to do, what Anthony was telling me, where executives and media members were able to look at the ping pong balls, let everyone see it, not just media and executives. Let everyone see it. Bring in a big old ping pong ball and let it spin, and 1,000, whatever, how many balls in there, and let it spin, and then you'll see it. Because like say the Mega Millions and the Powerballs, everybody sees the balls. You can't really rig that. So if everyone sees that, then it's never going to be any thinking of, oh, it's rigged. You know what I mean? That's the simple thing.
I mean, Ray, I hear you. I think that they should show it. I don't really understand the upside to not. I think it's a very silly system that they have, but people will still think it's rigged. Like, the old envelopes in the big giant wheel was what got the whole conspiracy theories about the lottery started in the first place, because they're like, oh, it's the frozen envelope, and David Stern knew not to pick the cold one, and that's how the Knicks got Patrick Ewing in 1985. So, like, people, I guess if it's maybe people are more familiar with the lottery ping pong balls, but people will be like, oh, the balls are weighted, or the technology is advanced, they can pop up the right one. Like, I think the only way for them to get around it being rigged is to make it so that the lottery has either a much smaller impact, aka it's just one pick and one pick only, and thus fans aren't lamenting falling 4 spots like Wizards fans are today, or just get rid of the thing entirely. Just say, like, hey, if you lose the most games, you are the worst team. Or there's all these, like, wheels. There's other ideas that are more radical that people have put out there, but I think as long as you have a lottery, Ray, I think people are going to think it's rigged, even if they see it right in front of their own eyes.
One more thing. One more thing real quick. Thank goodness we have Jaden Daniels, because without him, I don't know how DMV fans will cope. Oh, my goodness. It's just horrible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it. Hope is a powerful thing in a fan base. And, thankfully on the football front, we have a ton of hope. Basketball, look, I still think that they're doing the best that they can, but you're at the mercy of these ping pong balls. I mean, here's the thing to remember, too. Like, the Wizards were almost on the right side of this 2 years ago. The Wizards in that draft had the 8th best odds or 7th best odds, whatever it was. And the way the draft lottery works, for those that don't know, is there's 1,001 combinations, and then one of those combinations is unassigned. They were actually, because it's the way that, like, the numbers work out in terms of the numbers on the balls, and then it's like 1 through 14, and you do 4 balls, and that equals 1,001. And they actually were within 1 ball last night of getting I think it was on the 2nd pick. They were within 1 ball of having to redraw because they almost landed on the one combination that nobody had. But through the first 3 ping pong balls in 2022, the team that had the best odds to get Victor Wembanyama was the Washington Wizards. And the final ping pong ball came up Spurs. So it can happen the other way, but if you want the best odds, doing what they did with, the position they were in was quote unquote the best. It just didn't play out. Let's go to Clark. Clark, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, Craig, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate both of you and Anthony. I was thinking while I was on hold, why can't the NBA do what the NFL does? Whoever has the worst record in the NBA get the first pick. You know what I mean? Opposed to
that's the thing, Clark. Is like I'm
crap.
down with that. They fear that there'd be too much tanking. That in a year like this, or in a year like Wemby, in a year like when Patrick Ewing was coming out in 1985, when it's like everyone thinks this is a generational prospect, that teams will tank so hard, worse than they are now, that it'll be a problem for the league. And the problem is I actually think that is a less significant problem than what people think right now, where they think the league is rigged. Because at least if teams are tanking, we can see it in front of us and be like, yeah, that team's got the worst record because they suck at basketball, as opposed to a bunch of ping pong balls.
Yeah.
So, but that's what they would tell you. I don't disagree that I might not just be better, or I don't think they're better off, or I should say I do think they're better off just going back to that.
Okay, and I had one more thing prior to me leaving. I was telling Anthony off air. I think Cooper Flagg is just full of hype, like Zion was. Me personally, I think the Wizards should go after that boy Walter Clayton Jr. To me, I think he's a better ball player than Cooper Flagg. That's who I would go after.
Clark, if you think that Walter Clayton is going to be a better NBA player than Cooper Flagg, and I'm just going to say we disagree vehemently on what Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg is not.
I'm gonna give you a call.
Hey, if he winds up being better, call away. I think Clayton is someone they could consider with the 18th pick. because they also have that from Memphis, and it's probably still an overdraft. He's small, he's older, there's only so much limited upside. Cooper Flagg is a bona fide two-way player who is an ultimate competitor right in the head. With Zion, the stuff has been injury. Zion's been amazing when he's been on the floor, but I think that there was always questions about his body type and whether that could work with the 82-game schedule. There's none of that with Cooper Flagg. They're very, very different players. But I appreciate the call, Clark.
I appreciate you, though.
Yeah, for sure. You. All right, let's go to Yannick. Yannick, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, love this show, man. I've been listening to you for a long time.
Appreciate that.
What I want to say is the Wizards, they couldn't get the #1 overall pick last night, but I feel like the Mavericks needed more than the Wizards because when we get Alex Shaw in the draft, that whole thing changed. But since this past season, we got the bad record, all those stuff, because of injuries, those stuff. We can't play the ball, play the game right, play the ball, those stuff. Maybe we can get maybe instead of getting Cooper Flagg, we should get another big guy. So what do you think about that?
I think that thanks for the call, Yannick. Appreciate it. I think that getting a big is fine. Getting someone to pair with Alex Sarr is not a bad idea. And Malyuk, the kid out of Duke, who's 7'2", first ever draftable or first ever player that's going to be drafted out of the NBA Africa Academy. He's from South Sudan. He's going to be the first ever South Sudanese NBA player. He's really intriguing. His movement skills are great. He's 7'2", but he's very, very raw. He started playing basketball really late. He played the 1 year at Duke. And if you want to play Alex Sarr at the 4 and draft Malyuk and say, hey, we think this guy can develop, okay. I'd rather go say, where's my scoring and my shooting going to come from? To me, where the Wizards are in their rebuild, they need to find shooting because I think they have really good defensive versatility. I think they have some guys that can create shots. Obviously, right now, the main shot creator is Jordan Poole. Bub will get better at that. And Bilal, you're hoping will continue to get better at that. And you're still ultimately hoping for a superstar now next year, since you're not going to get him this year, or that you can trade and kind of find one on the low in the way that Oklahoma City did or the way that Indiana did in trading for SGA or Tyrese Halliburton. But getting someone who has more shot creation upside at that 6th pick, I think is probably the better play. There's a couple of names that I have, and I see we got a couple of calls on the phones as well with some names. So we'll continue taking calls on this next. We'll talk to Chase Hughes coming up about this at 5 o'clock. We'll get to some other stuff later on in the show as well. But we're taking your calls now on the Wizards and the how you're feeling post-draft lottery at 301-230-0980 on the Hoffman Show. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. That is where you call us to give us your thoughts on the Wizards draft lottery results, the draft lottery in total. No, you can't cuss. Sorry, it's the radio. Let's get back to the phones. 301-230-0980. That's where we find JR. JR, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you for taking a call.
You got it.
But first off and foremost, I agree that the lottery actually sucks. I don't know why basketball is the only sport that does their draft just like they do it. But outside of that, as a Wizards fan, I think we're not in a bad place as much as people think, because I think at the 6th spot, you still have an opportunity to take someone like a Derek Queen that I think if you pair with Alex Sarr and, one of his best friends and Bub Currington, you're positioning yourself to do some really good things as an organization, especially if you think coming right behind this year, we have a draft that's even more loaded next year, and hopefully, our chances are increased. So I think we're in a good spot. Like I said, hopefully we can get a Derek Queen or like you said, maybe Trey Johnson drops. But other than that, obviously the lottery sucks, but I don't think we're as bad as, we're feeling right now. Thank you for taking the call.
Yeah, JR, I think those are probably my two favorite, or two of my, I'll say three. I'm trying to think of who the third might be, but favorite names or most interesting names. Trey Johnson's definitely my favorite name for them at 6. I just think that a guy who shoots the ball that well is about as valuable of an asset as you can have. He's got positional size. He's made of all the right stuff mentally, how he approaches the game, all that kind of stuff. And whether he's a part of your long-term future or you flip him down the line as part of a package for something else, like a really great shooter always has value for your team or for someone else's team. So that's thing one. Queen is really interesting because, obviously there's the local ties and the feel-good story about all that part of it. Not only local ties in terms of University of Maryland, but he went to Maryland because he's from Baltimore. So you have the local-ish tie there. Queen and Sarr, if you could combine them, would be like a Hall of Famer, what they're capable of. Because Alex's defensive abilities, his switch ability, the stuff he can do with the ball, and the feel he has for the game, combined with the skill and the rebounding of Queen, is like a perfect player. The question is, when you split that into two, is that a pairing match made in heaven, or is it a floor spacing nightmare because neither of them really has three-point range quite yet? We'll see how Queen shoots it. I shouldn't say Queen does it. Queen can shoot the rock, but does he have NBA three-point range? I think that's still TBD. Obviously, Sarr is working on it. He took a ton of threes last year. But Queen, what he can do off the bounce, both those guys. But then defensively, Queen is limited as a defender. I think he's one of these guys that might be tough at times to have on the floor in matchups in the playoffs, depending on how he develops on that end over the next couple of years. But if Sarr is able to cover for him, then it becomes a very intriguing combination. I think it's also worth remembering, they have the 18th pick as well. And I do wonder if the combo of 6 and 18 can get you higher in this draft, which, maybe gets you in the Ace Bailey conversation. I don't think it gets you in the Dylan Harper conversation too, but especially because the Spurs already have 14. How many picks do you want in this draft? Could you trade one of your future picks to potentially get up to 2? That becomes an intriguing conversation, but these are the kinds of things that Will Dawkins and Michael Winger and Travis Schlenk and all their guys in the front office are kicking around. Let's go continue back to the phones, 301-230-0980. Let's go to Tim. Tim, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Hi, Craig. I was just calling in. I know that there's been a lot of talk about it being rigged and everything. And, in terms of a conspiracy theory, no, but it is rigged. Mathematically, it's rigged. If you look, the top 3 teams each had a 14% chance. That 14 times 3 is 42. So 42% chance that one of those 3 worst teams will get the top pick. That means 58% chance that one of the other teams with a better record will. That's rigged. I mean, that's balanced towards the better teams. If you look at the Wizards, They had a 14% chance for the number one pick. The slot that had the highest percentage for them was number 6. It's rigged. It's rigged to punish the 3 worst teams in the league.
Well, so here's the problem with that, Tim, though, is that that's still better than everyone else. Like, of course, if you combine the other teams, but there's 11 other teams, it's 11 on 3. So, of course, the other teams have more.
Of course.
But the other point that I think some people in the league office might make, and this to me like gets to the crux of the issue of what do you want as a league? Because I can make the argument that, like, yeah, so don't tank. Don't suck. Try to be better. If it's not that beneficial to be this bad in the first place, then be a better basketball team. To which then my counter to that counter is, but 14 is still the best I can get. And if I can't get Cooper Flagg, I can't win. Because that's the thing about the NBA, which makes this all so complicated. And this goes back to something the last caller said as well, is, why does the NBA have it like this and no other sport does? Because in no other sport does one singular player matter to the extent they do in the NBA and in basketball, because there's 5 dudes on the floor. And in the NFL, there's 22, and there's 10 in the NBA. The outsized impact of a LeBron James, of a Victor Wembanyama, of a Stephen Curry, when you get that guy right, it is the only way to win a championship unless you're the 2004 Pistons. There's no other example of it in recent NBA history going back to 1980. So that, this is kind of what the league has to ask itself is, if we are not going to give teams that have fallen on hard times a way out, do we just say that part out loud? Do we not care? Or are we going to say, hey, the best way out of the bottom is to try your best to be good right now, and you're going to have to overpay for some free agents and try to get them to sign short-term deals so you don't lose your long-term flexibility, but we'll give better draft odds to the 8th team or the 12th worst team than the best team? Like, these are the fundamental questions. But to say it's like, I disagree with the word rigged in what you're saying, Tim, but you're 100% correct on the math of it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's balanced to favor the better teams. How about that?
Well, yes, on the collective, and you could fix that, right? You could make it so it's 80% chance the other way, which is 80% is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
But you'd be in favor of that.
That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not spouting a conspiracy theory that
100%.
they're picking one team, but it is balanced to not be one of the 3 lowest teams.
Yes, on the whole, yes. Even though it's 11 on 3, and it used to be a lot different. Tim, I think that's a really good point, really good framing. Thanks for the call. Last but not least, let's go to Aveen. Aveen, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show. Wrap us up here for the hour.
Hey, Craig. I just wanted to build on what you were saying there. I think the NBA's obsession with trying to end tanking has backfired and been self-destructive. Like, if you look at every sports league, there's a handful of teams in every league that go into the season not ready to compete for the playoffs. Most teams go through a natural life cycle. Like, you're not going to be able to end that. And I guess you can say one person's tank is another person's rebuild. Like, the only way a bad team can build something built to last and sustainable is to go through a rebuild. And teams shouldn't be penalized for doing that. So I just think this new evened out draft odds it just misses the point of the draft, where the point is to spread out the talent, help out bad teams, and, give a lifeline to small markets and to teams that have been irrelevant, give them a lifeline to relevancy. Now you have this problem where the talent is going to go west. So just wanted to build on that. Thanks.
Yeah, no, Aveen, it's a great point. And I think it actually also goes into something that also came up last night. Like, last night was a terrible day for the league, I think, in a lot of ways. Like, teams just getting gut punched in Utah and here. Obviously, I think a lot of the league is thoroughly pissed that the Mavs won, considering how they handled the Luka situation. Not just that they traded him, but that they traded him for pennies on the dollar without even opening it up to the market and to the Lakers, who always seem to be on the receiving end of those kind of deals. So I think there's probably real anger there. But then the Jason Tatum injury happens last night. And by the way, breaking news just moments ago, confirmation of a torn Achilles for Tatum. He's actually had the surgery to repair it. So he immediately went in, got the surgery, and now he will be out for probably a year. It'd be a miracle if he's back before the playoffs probably next year. It's a brutally long injury to rehab. And so I think part of that too is like, you've created this world where stuff like this keeps happening, where the NBA playoffs are a survival tool or a survival game as much as they are a talent competition. I think the league needs to realize where its problems are, realize who it needs to be. And I want to talk about the Tatum thing later because I have deeper thoughts on that and kind of where the league is as a whole. But I think the league needs to say, what are our actual biggest problems right now? Because if they did that, tanking would not be anywhere close to the top of the list. The biggest problems the league have are people think that it's rigged, and by the end of it, none of the stars are available because everybody's hurt. So if you can find a way to shorten the season, concentrate your talent, and have it available more often, you'd still keep a ton of money because you could put a higher percentage of games on national TV, and then find ways to where you're also playing less meaningless basketball because teams aren't incentivized to tank for as long during a season because of the shorter nature, more unpredictable nature of a season. You fix a lot of stuff. So it's a great call to wrap us up from Aveen, and it's a bummer kind of to see the way the league happened yesterday, for lack of a better way to put it. When we get back, Chase Hughes is going to join us, talk about the Wizards side of it, and I'll see if he's got any thoughts on the lottery at large as well. Chase with us next on the Hoffman Show. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We are always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too, at the Team 980. We'll get to some other stuff eventually, but mostly today's event session. Talk about the Wizards but it doesn't always have to be venting too. Like there's definitely some silver linings to what happened with the Wizards last night. In part that it's a very deep draft, and there are much worse drafts to fall to 6. But let's talk about it with Chase Hughes now. It's time for Not My Beat.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not My Beat.
Chase Hughes, of course, writer, reporter for Monumental Sports Network. Also was a contributor this year to the Wizards radio broadcast frequently here on the Team 980. Chase, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing great, man. Getting ready to go to Wrigley Field for the first time. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice. I've been to Wrigley once. I was there for in Chicago. Chase joining us from Chicago, by the way, where the NBA
at
draft.
the Combine right now.
Yeah, at the Combine and lottery was last night.
Yes.
I went to Wrigley once. I was in Chicago for a conference in school, and me and my buddy went, had a great time, got a Chicago dog, watched about 6 innings of baseball, then had to leave because we had to go catch our flight. But enjoy it. It's really cool. It's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, it's a cathedral of the game. It's one of the best stadiums out there.
No doubt about it. So last night, Chase, where were you for the lottery? Were you in the room there in Chicago? Were you watching from your hotel? Take us inside your view of last night's stuff.
Yeah, so I was in the room that you were watching on the TV broadcast where they reveal the picks. There's essentially 2 rooms. There's one where the actual drawing happens in a back room where everyone's sequestered. They have to hand over their cell phones, that sort of thing. And then there's this big ballroom where they host the actual lottery that you watch on TV. And it's a really sort of unique sports event to be in because it's obviously really important. And everyone in that room, there's a lot of people that have a lot riding on it. And there's a lot of people in there, but there's no fans. So there's not a ton of commotion. So crazy things happen, but everyone's there for work and no one's going to loudly exclaim or react in a crazy way. But this is the 3rd lottery I've been to, and it was definitely the craziest one. The first one was insane because it's Victor Wembanyama, but this one, the twists and turns, it wasn't really what happened to the Wizards that shocked everybody. It was the Sixers going 3, the Spurs 2, of course the Mavs 1. Once that happened, there was kind of an audible gasp from a lot of people because it was just so ridiculous, a 1.8% chance of happening.
So the Wizards pop up at 6. What was your reaction to that part of it?
I mean, I was shocked. I mean, obviously, it's a possibility. And what's crazy about the new lottery format is it's a fairly distinct possibility, right? When you look at their odds, the lowest they can fall is 6. You know, they're tied for the best odds for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But their most likely picks are 5th and 6th. So you kind of, I think, especially if you're the Wizards front office, you got to go into it preparing for that scenario. And so I don't think it caught them by surprise like it may have some fans because, you got to have meetings. You got to work through scenarios. You got to be prepared. And you got to scout a lot of players and go through a lot of different situations. So they feel pretty optimistic moving forward, obviously. I'm sure they were fairly disappointed that they didn't get 1st, 2nd, or even 3rd or 4th. But they got 6th. And I think in hindsight, getting the 18th pick from the Memphis Grizzlies will loom extremely large because at least they have now 2 picks in the top 18. That gives them some optionality if they want to move up. Or, even if they stay there, they'll get 2 guys in the top 20, which is a pretty valuable pair of assets.
Chase Hughes with us, of course, Wizards Insider from Monumental Sports Network. Chase, when you look at this draft, because I know you're a guy who gets into the draft pretty early, you watch college hoops through this Wizards lens, this NBA lens. Who are some of the guys that stand out to you as possible candidates for that 6th pick if they stick and pick?
Yeah, so I think the 2 pretty much guarantees in this draft are that Cooper Flag will go 1 and Dylan Harper will go 2. And I think they've kind of solidified themselves as the best 2 prospects. After that, there's really a wide range of possibilities. I would expect that BJ Edgecombe's going to be gone. He's a really good defensive guard from Baylor. And I'm pretty sure Trey Johnson of Texas, he's a 6'6" guard that ESPN currently mocks the Wizards to select at 6. I think he's probably going to be gone. So I think After that, maybe you're looking at the possibility of Ace Bailey from Rutgers, who was Dylan Harper's teammate. Maybe he could fall. He is a really good outside shooter, a bouncy, athletic wing at about 6'8", kind of similar to like a Brandon Miller who we saw come into the draft a couple years ago. Jeremiah Fears of Oklahoma, he's about a 6'3", 6'4", point guard, athletic, can get into the paint, pretty decent outside shooter. And Derek Queen is a name I think a lot of people should pay attention to. Obviously, there's a lot of Maryland fans in the area that don't need to be told who Derek Queen is. We all saw what he did in the NCAA tournament, but it is kind of interesting when they get to 6, you're firmly in his range, and Derek Queen is arguably the best local prospect to come into the draft in quite some time.
When you look at what Winger and Dawkins have done the last couple of years and the way that Will scouts and the characteristics he looks for on and off the court, we've heard the press conferences, the whole deal. Like, what are some of the things that now that you, between what you've heard and what you've seen, that you are looking for if you are scouting this through a Wizards lens? And I say scouting it like us watching tape, us listening to interviews, like us on the media side trying to project what they're going to do. What are the things that you're valuing more because of who's actually going to make the pick compared to maybe how you would have looked at it in the past, or if you're looking at it generically?
That's a great question, because I remember soon after Will Dawkins took over, him and Michael were saying a lot of things, but they couldn't really show us what they liked in players. You kind of had to see that play out over a couple years. But now we've seen it. And he said, at some point you'll know what a Wizards player looks like. And I think that player, first of all, is someone who has positional size. By that I mean they're about an inch or two taller than the average size, meaning height for their position. They like guys with long wingspans. They like guys who can defend. I think that's a very important trait for them to draft a player. They got to be able to defend. And then they like guys who can make plays off the dribble. And when it comes to shooting, they believe that they can teach shooting over time. And, taking sort of the long view as they have, it does give you that luxury where you could bring in a guy who may not be a great shooter now, but if you have 3 years to work with him on it, maybe he turns into a pretty decent shooter. And if they check off all those other boxes where, they're big and they're athletic for their position, it's a very different story if one of those players develops an outside shot compared to a guy with average size and average athleticism.
Chase Hughes, Wizards Insider, Monumental Sports Network, with us. I asked Will about the shooting thing after the season, and I believe you were there, Chase. So
right.
You'll remember this, and for the audience that wasn't there, I'll remind them. But Will had a really interesting answer to the question, which was basically, I think that we can take an okay shooter and turn them into a good shooter, but if you got to be a good shooter if we're going to turn you into a great shooter. Do you think they have that great shooter currently on the team, or is that something that if you think about the pieces of putting together a roster that you think that guys, whether it's Trey Johnson, whether it's a guy like Con Knipple, the Duke forward, who's those two really considered the best shooters in this draft, the fact that they know they can teach guys how to shoot, do you think that can be almost overlooked at times where it's okay, but we also know if we want one of the great ones, we're going to have to draft someone who's got that already in the bag, and we can hopefully improve it?
Yeah, I remember when he said that, it stood out to me, and I would say that Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George would fit into the category of good shooters who could become great shooters. Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sarr are probably the guys that they would hope that could become good shooters. They didn't come in with sort of a high floor as shooters. They're more about athleticism and defense, but that doesn't mean they can't turn into great shooters. It's happened before. In terms of adding shooting to the roster, I do think it's very important for them to start thinking in those terms. They had the least efficient offense in the league last year. They're not a great three-point shooting team. They improved their three-point shooting volume, but their percentage still lacks, and there's just a lack of spacing on the floor. And I think there are guys that would shoot much better if there was better spacing. I think Corey Kispert could be an elite three-point shooter, but when he's the only guy on the court that is a real threat from three-point range, then defenses can hone in on him and lower that percentage. So Con Knipple, I don't think he's going to be in play with the sixth pick. I'd be pretty surprised. I think if he falls to 18, that would make sense, but 100% Trey Johnson, if he falls to 6, I would not be surprised at all if the Wizards got him, because I think his upside on the offensive end is as high as pretty much anyone in this draft, maybe short of Dylan Harper, because I think Dylan Harper is going to be a superstar scorer at the NBA level.
Chase Hughes with us here on the Hoffman Show from Chicago, where he was at the NBA Combine, headed to Wrigley Field in a little bit. We're talking basketball, and then he can go enjoy some baseball. Being around today, Chase, like the morning after, if you will, this shocking NBA draft lottery, the way it played out. What was the buzz in the building today? Like, I'm sure the talk was about the Mavs and the fact that they won it. But, like, is there you think, a real push for lottery reform? Is everyone just like, man, that was weird, do it again next year? Like, what was the vibe today around the NBA Combine in Chicago?
Mostly shock about what happened with the Dallas Mavericks. You know, I've talked to the people who were in the other room I was speaking of, where you have to be sequestered, and that is presented very differently. It's no frills. They start with the number one pick and they go down. So that reveal began with the Mavs getting the number one pick, and apparently the entire room just laughed. Like, all the executives representing respective teams just laughed because it was so ridiculous, right? So everyone's been talking about that, the Jason Tatum injury. As far as lottery reform goes, I think there's a lot of people around the league that if the lottery were reformed, they might want it to go further in the direction of not rewarding teams to just bottom out and try to be as bad as possible. Like, I think people around the league, I remember last year, like the Atlanta Hawks, they got the number one pick. I think they moved up from like 11th or 12th or something, right?
I think it was 10th for last year, yeah. And
exactly.
Then Dallas was 13 this year.
Yeah. So they were 10th last year, and a friend of mine who's in the Hawks front office said that, like, there were a couple executives that came up to him and they were like, we're glad you won it. Like, we want to see the teams that are competitive and are trying to be rewarded. So I think that's kind of the mindset. Obviously there's a lot of people in the league that are competitive and kind of think in those terms. So I don't think there's too many fans of tanking. It's sort of don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, and this is what I've spent part of the show talking about, Chase, is like, then if that's what they want, I feel like they should go further, and I have no problem with that. If you just want to either flatten the odds, or if you want to invert the odds and be like, fine, you want to have that chance at the number one pick, try your best to make the playoffs, like, and see what happens.
Yeah.
But there's second and third hand, consequences of that in terms of what it does to rosters, flexibility wise, the power it gives free agents, all those kinds of things that would have to, or second and third order consequences that would have to be talked through and considered. And honestly, that sounds like a great topic for a radio show. Maybe I should do that. But given the current system, like that's not how it's set up. And I get the sense that there are more fans out there that think that the NBA is rigged than there is a tanking problem, and like that's a much more significant problem. Do you think that's something that the league also is starting to feel or take seriously based off the reaction to what happened yesterday?
Well, the fan reaction, first of all, that I've seen and sort of experienced has been a little mixed. I have seen a lot of people say, like, oh, well, what are you supposed to do if you're a bad team? How are you supposed to be good? So I think there are some fans who wish that, maybe the lottery tilted back towards what it used to be, where if you are the worst team, you get a much higher chance of getting the number one pick. But, as far as it being rigged, that second room that we keep speaking of, right? The NBA does this thing where they, like, will willingly allow, like, pretty much as many media members as they can get in there. It's usually about, like, 10 to 12 people. They want that thing covered. Like The Athletic, ESPN, the Washington Post, they were all back there, and they want as much transparency as they can offer so that those people can report back to the fans and, quote unquote, prove that it isn't rigged. So unless the league is, slipping one past that many media members plus, 14 executives representing the various teams, and I think they have like Ernst & Young, who's supposed to be like certifying everything. I don't know. That would be tough to do. So there's a lot of people who have been in that room that I know, that I trust, who insist that it's not rigged because they've seen it firsthand. So, you can never rule anything out these days, but I don't think there's any funny business going on.
No, and so that's the thing, right, Chase? Is like, I also am an adult who realizes that it's ridiculous, the idea that this would be rigged, like the amount of people that have to be involved and the amount of people that it would not benefit, that would have to be complicit, or that you'd have to fool. Like, it's obviously not, but that doesn't stop fans from thinking it. And I think that's kind of what the league has to eventually wrestle with, is kind of this style versus substance thing, and the fact that there's a huge portion of fans that think it's rigged or feel like it's rigged because it's not as direct as the NFL draft or other drafts that we're familiar with. That's where I kind of wonder if the league eventually is like, okay, we got to do something different. And it does feel like that has intensified since they changed the lottery odds a couple of years ago, at least to me. I don't know if you felt that as well.
Well, I do wonder, because I have seen a lot of that sentiment from, media members and fans, like, this proves that it's rigged. Maybe the league will go further to prove that it isn't. It probably doesn't help their cause that LeBron James, of all people, recently voiced his opinion on it and said that, there's no way it was a coincidence that he went to Cleveland and that Derrick Rose went to Chicago. So it is an effort by the league to try to prove to everyone that it's fair and square. Maybe they'll have to take it a little bit further. It's not televised back there. I don't know if it would be the best television event, but maybe they could record it and have it live to tape and show it to people afterwards. I personally would find a room full of people laughing that the Mavs got the number one pick pretty entertaining.
I mean, I would too. I think you could also just make that the show. Like, you don't have to. You could have the thing come out and be like, oh, the lottery combination is whatever. Like basically, Chase, it'd be the best televised bingo that's ever existed.
Yeah, right. Well, as I'm sitting there too last night, I'm thinking man, at some point the league's going to monetize this. Like, they're not selling tickets to fans, right? I'm at the Combine right now. There's no fans here who have bought tickets. The NFL figured out a way to monetize the Combine, right? I'm sure the NFL, if there was a lottery, would find a way to monetize it, and I'm sure the NBA will at some point because that's just the direction that things head. It's just kind of, I wonder how they would do it because it's really fast. You're just reading 14 results, and they have a commercial break in between, and it still only lasts 15 minutes.
Totally. Yeah. State Farm pays for it. So good for State Farm. Good for them for monetizing that way. All right. Last thing for you, Chase. I'll give you a choice. I can give you my favorite thing that I've thought of in terms of lottery reform, my favorite idea, or if you have a go-to, if you're like, no, I actually have an idea, I can fix the NBA draft lottery, I'm open to hearing your idea.
I do have an idea. Thank you for asking me.
Let's go.
So I can explain it. So I would expand the lottery to include the lower seeds in the playoffs, and I would weight the odds to incentivize teams to get those final spots in the playoffs. And then after that, maybe randomize it or flatten the odds entirely, but basically flip it on its head and incentivize teams to try to make the postseason. And then once you do, it's easier to level up from there. Because why do teams tank, right? Why do fans want their teams to tank? It's because the quote-unquote middle ground of the NBA, the purgatory of the NBA is a huge problem in a lot of people's eyes. Well, this solves that. You can go from good to great. Right now, it's really hard to do that. It's the hardest thing to do in building a team in the NBA and across a lot of sports, of course. Once you have to pay your young players. Well, this would prevent that. And what's the worst thing that could happen if the 8th seed gets even a Victor Wembanyama? It's not like they're going to win the next 7 championships. They're just going to have an opportunity to go from good to great, and it will incentivize winning over losing.
I agree with that. I also think that a reverse pyramid kind of thing, where the worst place you can be is the 8th worst team. So you're incentivized to either go up or down, but that at least prevents teams from getting caught, just stuck forever at the bottom. So I think that in all, if the point is to incentivize winning, though, you're onto it because you have to incentivize winning. And what else incentivizes winning other than what you just said? Chase Hughes with us from Chicago. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Enjoy Wrigley Field, and we'll talk to you closer to the NBA draft.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Chase Hughes, make sure you're following his coverage, social media. Search him on whatever you use, X, Instagram, TikTok. Chase is on all of those. You can also, of course, watch Monumental Sports on TV, their coverage of all things Wizards draft adjacent. And then they've also got their website, monumentalsports.com. So Chase is in all of those places. All right, when we get back here on the Hoffman Show, first of all, we are continuing our Mystics interview series coming up at 5:45. That is when you will hear from Kiki Iriafen, the 4th overall pick in the WNBA draft. We will also talk more about the lottery coming up a little bit later. But actually, hold on. Sorry. Nope, not yet. We're not going to do Kiki Iriafen next. We moved that in the rundown, Anthony. This is what I get for trying to do this on the fly.
My bad. I was talking in your ear.
Yeah, no, you were. I was like, Anthony, you can tell everybody how silly I am. You don't have to tell just me.
So we have good news. I mean, last night was obviously, a bad night, but we got some good news today. And the Commanders will be going international this year. Should we reveal where?
I think people probably already know, but if you don't, I'll tell you next here on the Hoffman Show. And then 6 o'clock, we'll get back to the NBA draft and the lottery. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We'll talk more NBA coming up at 6 o'clock, including the games last night and the just brutal night. That was the Boston Celtics losing Jason Tatum. Now we know torn Achilles. He is out, obviously, for a while. We'll see just how deep into next season. He had successful surgery on that injury today. That the reporting just a few minutes ago. But Anthony, we did get good news today. Expected news, I think, because it kind of been leaked out. But we got, and I assume this is good news for people. The Commanders are finally hitting the international circuit again. The last time the Commanders played a game overseas was in 2016. And that was the year that they played the Cincinnati Bengals in England. Josh Norman had a whale of a game, and I don't necessarily mean great. He had a very interesting game. Afterwards, he said it wasn't Tressway's fault that they tied the Bengals, even though he meant Dustin Hopkins after Dustin missed a fairly makeable field goal that would have won the game for them. But yes, they tied the Bengals in London, and they will return for the first time since to somewhere not in America. That place is Madrid. They will face the Dolphins. It is in mid-November, and I definitely looked at flights this morning.
What do they look like?
Actually, very not bad.
Okay.
Honestly, the biggest problem in the Hoffman household, the biggest deterrent, that one, I need to talk to our bosses to say, like, hey, what are our capabilities of broadcasting live in Madrid? I assume that if we have the internet, we can figure it out, but that might be presumptuous. I don't know how things work across international water. Actually, remind me in the break to talk to the engineers. Should talk about that. Also, Drab, if you're listening, I'm open to going to Madrid. No, seriously. But the biggest problem is my cousins are getting married. My cousin is getting married the previous weekend. So we'd have to go to where their wedding is, which is on the east coast of the United States, but not particularly close, back to D.C., and then to Madrid. That's a lot of flying.
Hey, Craig, guess what?
What?
You only live once.
This is true. I would like to not be exhausted for it.
All right, yeah,
that statement can go either direction.
That's valid. That's valid.
That's it. You only live once. Yeah, and man, I'm tired. But this is awesome. The game's going to be played at the Stadium of Real Madrid, historic stadium over there in Madrid, and 90,000 plus people can go to a game there. I assume that they'll be set up for that, and I presume that the fact that it's the first time will draw that kind of crowd. Madrid, an incredible city. Are you going to Madrid? You're going to a bunch of places this summer.
I'm going to Barcelona.
You're going to Barcelona this summer.
I was trying to do a day trip to Madrid. I'll see if I can still
get it.
It's
like 2.5 hours on train. I know because I looked at it earlier.
You said 2.5 hours?
Yeah, on train.
Well, I might consider it.
Yeah. 2.5 hours is not terrible, but it's also not quick.
Yeah, it ain't.
It'd be way better. I got another wedding that we're going to in Portugal. And if it had been the same weekend, that would have been cool. I need the weddings to swap. Because then it'd be like, oh, I'm going to Portugal. Then I can just go. I'd just be in Europe for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In the middle of football season. Nothing could go wrong there. The bosses wouldn't be mad about that at all. But that's the thing. Anthony, here, look, this is not, the whole segment doesn't have to be about me/us and this show. But what time is it in Madrid right now? Hey,
6 hours ahead.
What time is it in Madrid? It's 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
So doing this show would be hard. Shia could do afternoons for a week. We could switch with Kevin.
It would be hard for you, Craig.
Yeah, no, there's no way I could do it. But like, if we were like, hey, I could be broadcasting live from Madrid on the week the Commanders are there, wouldn't it be worth just doing the switcherooski with Sheehan? I'll do 10 to 1 Eastern. He can do the 4 to 7 for like 3 days. And then we'll switch back when I return.
Or do we just tape the entire show?
In theory, we could do that too. We can do 4 to 7.
That would be stressful.
4 to 7 Madrid time.
We get breaking news and we're talking about, Brian Robinson, fumbling. Like,
just we can have. We'll volunteer some. Look, Linnell or Toby, one of them goofballs will be doing updates down there on the other station. If breaking news happens, they can come down and talk about it. But it's the middle of football season. Like we know our formula for the middle of football season. We can do those shows in our sleep.
Yep.
If I have to do it live, I will basically be doing it in my sleep, knowing me. That's way past my bedtime. Even in Spain. Or, Anthony, the other way, I'll take a siesta. Middle of the day.
Is that an energy drink?
No, a siesta is a nap.
A nap.
Really?
First of all, no, hold on, Craig. You can't go from English to Spanish like that. Like what? That's not fair to me.
It was one word.
It threw me off.
That's very well known.
It threw me off though, Craig.
Sure.
That's like me saying, I'm going to Sena. Like, that's not fair.
You're going to what?
Sena. La Cena? Dinner?
No, it's not.
It's one word. Isn't that what you just said?
Siesta is like a very well-known thing in Spanish culture, and we're talking about Spain. I didn't just I didn't just swap a word.
Oh,
I didn't randomly put a Spanish
did.
word. I didn't go Spanglish on you and just put a Spanish word in the middle of a sentence. Like
said,
a siesta is a
take
concept.
Siesta.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to Cena. Dinner.
These two things are not the same.
Okay.
One of these things just doesn't belong here. So the point is, I would like to go to Madrid. I haven't looked at it. Chances are I won't be in Madrid. I'll be here talking about what is happening in Madrid. But it would be pretty sweet if I got to go. I'm curious, though, what fans think. Are you excited about this? I think, in general, the excitement is like you get it's a primetime game without – I would say this. I'll be very happy if I am in America because that's a primetime game that your boy doesn't have to stay up late for. Speaking of needing a siesta, that's a nap, Anthony. And I said it even though it said it in Spanish. It's a word that's commonly known across languages.
Gracias.
De nada. The 9:30 a.m. start, love that. But I think it's a chance to be featured. It's a chance to be in the spotlight. Obviously, it's going to create a bunch of fun content and things. It's a chance for the players that's really, really cool and unique to go overseas, to play in this stadium for the first time. And I think it just continues to signify, not that we know at this point, because, hello, they played in the NFC Championship game last year. Hello, Jaden Daniels, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Hello, we know the brand is back. But it just solidifies that even more. It's another example of, I wouldn't even say at this point it's an example of that, oh, look, the Commanders are back. It's like, these are the perks of being back. When you're one of the big boys, this is the stuff you get to do. You get to be featured in the big games. And we now know the Commanders are going to get one of the primetime Saturday doubleheaders. I think there's a really great chance that they play on Christmas. And now we also know that in November, they are going to Madrid to help the NFL have a successful launch of what they, I'm sure, hope to be a multi-year campaign in Spain for the first time.
Hey, Craig, we no longer have to only play on Thursdays because I feel like before this year, that was
you got
the only prime time.
The token Thursday night game where it's let's put two crap teams in color rush uniforms and let them run into each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're going to play bad football anyway. Might as well just make it on Thursday and give them an excuse.
Hey, everybody got to get their primetime games.
Yeah.
That's when we used to get ours.
Speaking of the schedule, let's take a look at a potential schedule next. Sheehan always does his mock schedule. Anthony and I are going to try to put together one quickly next, or we'll take your calls. So what do you think about the Commanders going to Madrid? 301-230-0980. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and always live on the free Odyssey app. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too, at the Team 980. What's so funny, Anthony?
I can't even get it out.
Any day now.
All right, I'm going to explain it. So this past weekend, my friend celebrated his 30th birthday, and the theme was to wear all black. Uh-huh. And one of my friends wore a white shirt and blue pants and a blue hat. So
why?
He's trying to defend his actions, and no one's letting him have it now. So I'm over
How
here
is he
crying.
trying to defend his actions? The mission was simple, and he botched it.
Exactly. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, like that he did not understand the assignment.
No. Just own it.
Yeah. So he's trying to like point out everything, like somebody had on gray slacks and he was like, he wasn't wearing all black, and it's like, come on.
Well, that guy sucks too.
I mean, I'm just saying he was all white though, like damn near.
If you are supposed to do an all black bit, then just follow the instructions.
It's simple.
It's the easiest thing in the world. They gave you the easiest color to deal with. You probably don't even have to buy new stuff. It's not like they're like, hey, everybody wear lime green. I don't have a lot of lime green in my closet. Sucks to be you. Go to the store. It said black.
Yeah, I don't know. He's crazy, man. That's why I was laughing.
Oh, okay. I just happened to catch you laughing as we were coming out of break, having a good old chuckle over there. And you almost like choked on air on the show. So Professor Sheehan did his mock schedule, Anthony. The real schedule comes out tomorrow, and we will have full coverage here on the Team 980. We know some of what is going to happen, and we know that Kevin has week one. Well, actually, no, we don't know that Kevin has week one wrong. I was going to say, well, actually, no, we do know that Kevin had week one wrong. His initial guess, which he put out this morning, which I find weird, that he's got, or maybe he made the mock schedule last week before the Eagles-Cowboys was announced week one. But Kevin's got week one, Dallas 8:20 Sunday night. Dallas is playing Philadelphia week one. So we're 0 for 1.
Yeah, it had to be old.
Yeah. So this tweet is from this morning, but I guess it's old in terms of when he made this last. I believe he did it on Friday on the show. So he's got week one Sunday night football. I think that week one. I don't know why I've continued to have this thought, other than it's like super prime time. I think there's a really good chance the Commanders open the season at Kansas City on either Sunday or Monday night. That is my week one prediction. That you've got a couple of games that are marquee. Obviously, you've got the Philly games. You've got Chicago, the Caleb, and Hail Mary rematch. You have at Kansas City. You have a Detroit rematch. That could certainly be Sunday Night Football week one, or even Monday Night Football. But there's just something about that Kansas City matchup where I'm like, if they can get Mahomes, Daniels, the best versus the future best, try to sell that storyline. That to me feels very week one-y. Week one-y.
But Craig, the Chiefs are playing the Chargers.
Oh, that's right. They just announced that today. So I just pulled what I just did a. Wait, hold on. They announced that? When did I? I'm
pretty sure it was 2 days ago.
No,
Monday.
because I read an article from the NFL this morning that's like it will be announced when the full schedule is announced. But also
NBC Sports.
Oh,
report,
they
Chiefs will join Chargers in Brazil for week one.
When did they announce that?
2 days ago on Monday.
No.
Yeah, so Monday
I refuse.
and today, like the streaming, like Fox.
No, I know they've been announcing games. How did I miss that entire thing?
Oh, I thought you knew.
No.
Oh, well, now you know.
They announced it on Sunday?
No, I don't think it was on Sunday. Monday and today. I said 2 days ago. I didn't mean to say
today's
2 days
Tuesday.
ago. My bad. Yesterday.
Hey, if anything happened last night when I was in my Wizards fog, then I'm off the hook. That one I missed. But no, I clicked on an NFL link earlier today, and they said that. Okay, so Kansas City's out. Week one, then I feel like Chicago, Detroit, those two feel like it could be week one.
The Bears.
Both of those would be home games.
I like the Lions then.
I kind of like the Lions too, the more I think about it. Kevin's got Chicago Monday night week 2. I feel like that could be a Dallas bit. Week 3, he's got Denver. That feels.
Let me write these down.
It's on Kevin's thing.
No, I see Kevin's. I was talking about ours.
Oh, our remix.
Going Lions week 1.
Yeah, I'm going. No, I'm going to go Bears week 1.
Okay, Bears week 1.
I'm going to go Bears. The Ben Johnson debut. I'm going to go Bears week 1. I'm going to go Cowboys week 2 at Dallas. I'm going to go. What else we got? Let's go Seattle week 3. Why? I don't know. Just trying to be different from Kevin. I do kind of like the Minnesota thing. But I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna go at Atlanta Thursday night, week 4.
I like that. Prime time, baby.
And then we can just switch what Kevin's got. Go at Minnesota.
Do you not think week 4 will be the Bears? We always play the Bears usually week 5, but I think last year we played.
I know it has been week 5. It has been bizarrely week 5. But I put them week 1.
Okay.
How many home games? I feel like I'm due for a home game. This is the problem. I'm not. Where are you writing these down?
On my sheet.
Are they in a Google Doc that I can see? I can't keep track. I'm doing this off the top of my head. This is the best segment we've ever done in the history of the show.
I'll add it to the main sheet.
Okay, thank you. Because then otherwise I'm trying to play logistics in my head.
You have 2 home games and you have 2 away games.
By the way, the actual guy that does this for real is retiring. This is his last time doing the schedule. And he one, he's better at it clearly than me. 2, there's a great piece on him in The Athletic if you want to read a profile on him. All right, so I got 2 and 2 so far. Let's go week 5. I'm trying not to give the Commanders an early bye this year. They've had stupid bye luck. Let's say week 5 at the Chargers, although I would love for that to be late season because then, I'm trying to be nice to the folks that have to travel. Going at LA in December, 70 degrees and beautiful. That's nice. Let's say at LA. Then we're due for a home game probably.
We just got 3 road games.
I just gave him 3 in a row.
3 road games in a bye week.
This is too much. Anthony, you pick the next game.
So where are we at? Week 5? Week 6.
Yeah, we got Bears at Dallas, Seahawks at Falcons at Chargers. Feels like a home game.
We gotta get a divisional game in there. Let's go Giants.
Okay, we got a random Giants game. Okay, I like that. All right, week 7. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna alternate the rest of them. Let's go. Let's go home against Denver, and let's put that on Monday night. Denver Monday Night Football. You're up. Yeah, see, it's harder than it looks. This is why they got a big old computer program. But they used to
go versus Philly. Oh, it's at Philly.
Okay. I tend to think that some of those games are going to be saved till later in the season, but this is now part of Anthony's schedule. I feel like this is bye time. Let's go bye. Week 9, week 10. Now,
week 10.
Do I pick now or do you?
Is that the Madrid game or is that week 11?
No, we should also fill in. Week 11 is at Miami, Madrid.
Yep.
And then week 16 is Philly, Saturday.
So I think we play Las Vegas the week before we play the Dolphins.
Okay. Or do we think that the bye week will be right before? I think the bye week before Madrid would be.
Okay, that would be good then.
Yeah. That would also be better for my schedule. Let's go at Green Bay. Oh, sorry. I'm going to save at Green Bay. Can I just put a game in a different place? Because then it's less of a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
At Green Bay on Christmas.
Okay.
And then
Week 12.
And then we also need to get we need to say, okay, we got both Philly. Are we doing Dallas or New York week 18?
I think week 18 will be the Giants because I think after Madrid, do you think we'll play Thanksgiving?
No, that feels like one too many. Plus, coming back from international straight into Thursday, no. I think that'll be a home game.
All right. Maybe then week 18 is actually Dallas.
Okay. Saying Dallas at home. Kind of dig that. Week 12, maybe you come back, play the Giants then. Or that would be at New York because we don't have that. So maybe that's week 15 at the Giants.
Okay. Dang, that is a brutal month.
Because then you got 2 division games in the final little bit, which is, I think, how the NFL wants it. So now we still have week 12, 13, 14. We have, what do we need to get? Do we have at Minnesota yet?
The Chiefs.
Do we have? Oh, that's true.
We still have the Lions.
What home games do we have? We already got Denver. Have we done? Trying to piece this together is a nightmare. Have we done Detroit yet?
We have not.
Okay. Is that the only home game?
Without schedule, this is a brutal second half to the season, dude.
Yeah. It's not great. It's not great. This is what happens when you play a first place schedule, though.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to look like this, though.
All right, we got what games do we have left?
The Vikings, the Chiefs, and the Lions.
Vikings, Chiefs, and Lions. And the Vikings are on the road. The Chiefs are on the road. So when you get back from Madrid, we definitely have some of this messed up. Anthony and I are going to complete the schedule in the break. We'll read you our mock schedule next. All right, we'll get back to the NBA in just a little bit. We got some updates on some of the injuries that have happened and why are so many injuries happening in the first place. We'll talk about that. And then Kiki Iriafen, 6:30 tonight as we continue our Mystics interviews ahead of their debut on Friday for the 2025 season here on the Team 980. But we have hopefully found a more entertaining way to go through the schedule here, Anthony. We've now made a mock schedule. Sheehan makes it look much easier. Man, that guy. That 10-1 show, you guys should listen to that. We tried to do a schedule, and you realize you run into a bunch of stuff. And also, Anthony, I'm hoping that nobody's going to look at our silly mock schedule that we've done here and been like, hey, you idiots, so-and-such or such and such is playing overseas. For instance, we should double-check that we don't have the Vikings schedule mixed up because they've got 2 games already announced overseas. Okay, they're early in the season, so we're safe because we put them late in our little mock schedule. Anybody else that we need to be aware of? Like when Eagles 2025 schedule. They've got 1 million games already announced.
We should have looked at all the international games.
Well, the Eagles already have 4 games announced for 2025. So we got to make sure that we didn't, like we put them week 16 and we put them week 8. What's the date for week 8? The date for week 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is the 26th of October. We're good because the Eagles have games on September 4th, November 10th, November 28th, and December 20th. So, like, hopefully we haven't messed this up. Hopefully.
I think we're looking good.
Okay. So week 1, we're guessing the Bears. And we're
Bears.
All right, Sunday Night Football for that. Caleb Jaden, year 2, rematch of the Hail Jaden.
Yep.
Okay.
But hold on, we do have already one Sunday Night Football game.
Yeah. Well, no, we know that the Saturday game at week 16 for real.
Okay.
I've got 2 Sunday Night Football games, 1 Thursday nighter, and then 1 Monday nighter, plus the Saturday Fox doubleheader, and I put some 4 p.m.ers in here too.
We getting some TV time now.
Yeah. But there's only a hard limit on the amount of primetime games. The 4 o'clock games don't count. So, Bears, Sunday Night Football, week 1. At Dallas, that'll be a 4 p.m. kick week 2. Week 3, home against the Seahawks, that's just regular game. Week 4, Thursday Night Football at Atlanta.
I like it.
Week 5, at the Chargers. Get the double travel, but Atlanta's not that bad of a flight. That kind of sucks. Week 6, Giants. That'll be a 1 o'clock kick at home. And then, whew, buddy. Week 7, at Kansas City, Sunday Night Football.
Yes, sir.
Week 8, at Philadelphia, 4 o'clock kick.
We got a lot of away games to start the season.
Yeah, they can't put all of the 4 o'clock games or all the Philly games in prime time. Although it does feel a little silly that we have, one's one of the Saturday games. But I'm just going for it. Maybe like CBS is like, that's going to be our game of the week, and it's a CBS 4 o'clock game. Week 9, Raiders at home. Week 10, bye. Week 11, we know we're going to get this one right, at Miami and Madrid. Week 12, come back home, get an extra day of rest, Monday Night Football against Denver.
Okay. Hey, look, I like what we cooking, man.
Flip that one around from our disastrous attempt to create a schedule on the fly. Week 13, at Minnesota. Go back-to-back NFC North. Detroit, 4 p.m. in Week 14. That's like your 4 p.m. game of the week.
Yep.
Also, there's a great chance, obviously, that Week 13 game at Minnesota could get flexed. But we're gonna say that those 2 games are currently 1 and 4 o'clock kicks. Week 15 at the Giants. Week 16, Philly, Saturday. Week 17, Green Bay on Christmas. Week 18, Dallas. And obviously that's a time TBD.
Probably going to be a night game.
Well, week 18, it's dependent on what happens in the schedule.
Oh, yeah. Because
that's competition adjacent. That's Craig and Anthony's haphazard mock schedule that we hope doesn't have any clear and obvious errors already made in it?
Probably.
Let's see. That puts us with 1, 2, 3, 4 plus Saturday plus Christmas. Sheehan's got it on his mock schedule. Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Sunday. He's got a full 6. So we could pop 2 more of these games into prime time. And it does definitely feel like that Detroit game, week
the
14.
Lions for sure.
That could be, I'm going to put / Sunday Night Football. And then the other one that I would watch out for, like week 5 at the Chargers, that one I think could be a prime time. Obviously, week 8 against Philly, that could be Sunday or Monday night. Maybe that's a Monday Night Football game. I think that's a solid guess. It's probably not right. The stakes are very low, but we did it. We made a mock schedule, Anthony.
I just can't believe we're getting this much love. One season, Craig. It took us a quarterback, a new head coach, new ownership.
Well, and then you got a second you got a second place schedule. Like you're gonna play good teams. One, you're playing the NFC North and the AFC West, which might be 2 of the deepest divisions in football. So you have quality opponents in Kansas City, in LA, et cetera. And then obviously the NFC North sent 3 teams to the playoffs last year. Plus, your at-large teams are second-place teams. So, makes sense. Makes sense that they got some good ones.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, for sure. All right, when we get back, why is the NBA having so many injuries? And does it actually prove that the league is not soft like so many former players say? Plus, we will talk to Kiki Iriafen coming up at 6:30. But first, let's get an update on the latest in the world of women's sports. Presented by Wawa. Chicken how you want it at Wawa with customizable crispy or roasted chicken sandwiches. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We are always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. We talked through the entire first hour about the NBA draft lottery and how it was disappointing if you're a Wizards fan and how it's broken fundamentally if you are an NBA fan, not just because or for a million reasons. It takes a while to talk through them all. So rather than do that all again right now, I'll just simply say, hey, check it out. On the podcast or by rewinding in the free Odyssey app. But I want to talk about another NBA problem, Anthony, and that is this season is way too damn long, and it is causing catastrophic problems for the league superstars. And I think it's funny, but it's also like, I'm going to sound like a dork here, and I don't care. The NBA has a reputation in 2025, as it has for 10 years now, of being soft, right? I saw it actually was a pretty fun, like comedically speaking, a very funny reel the other day that was these two guys depicting NBA defense throughout the generations. And like in the 80s, it was like good, solid defense. In the 90s, they were having a fist fight. In the 2000s, it was like good, solid defense. And then 2010s, it got worse. And then by 2025, it's like, ole! Oh, swipe at the ball as the guy does a fancy reverse layup. Like, and there's kernels of truth in all of that, in the intensity of the game and, what we consider hard versus soft, right? Yes, you could do what we now consider a flagrant foul in the 1980s and 90s. And there were fights. And in that way, it was a very different game that you couldn't go to the rim necessarily in the same way, but it was also a select group of people. And, they figured out how to score like 140 points in games in the 1980s without using the three-point line. So, like, let's not pretend like there wasn't dudes attacking the rack unencumbered. But the league now, physically speaking, outside of the acute moments where dudes don't get decked like they did in the 90s, is so much more physically demanding than it used to be that I think the NBA has to look at it and go, oh, God, this is probably why so many of our stars, the guys who take on the biggest burden and the biggest load, are getting hurt. And Anthony, I remember it was probably a month and a half ago or something like that. I taught you about illegal defense, a thing you didn't really know existed in the 90s and before they changed the rule. I think it was in 2004.
Yeah.
And you were like, wait, what? And so the way defense used to work in the league is you had to play strict man-to-man. And what we consider now like good help defense was literally illegal. You either had to be on your man or you had to be dedicated to a double team. You couldn't float in and out of the lane. It wasn't defensive 3 seconds. They literally called it illegal defense. And the game thus, and also the way offenses worked back then schematically, was much more stagnant. Even the run and gun teams of the 1980s, a la the Showtime Lakers, like, yes, they got out on the fast break and ran, but go watch their half-court offense. It was dump the ball to Kareem. Everyone else stands around. Kareem goes one-on-one, hits a sky hook, and scores 38,000 points. Right? It's the intensity of the running, the intensity of the cutting, the constant motion, the mental demand of the game now, because there is so many decisions that are made versus dribble, toss ball to post player, maybe one guy cuts. It's a different sport. And yet, with all of that, they still play 82 games. And I think that is why like load management has become a thing. And like, here's the thing, the science, it doesn't behoove teams to sit players. This is always my thing with like load management. Oh, they're soft. It's like, is it soft or are they trying to preserve their guys? Because like no team is better by sitting their superstar. Nobody wants to have to do it for competitive reasons. They do it, it's because if we don't sit this guy tonight, we might lose him for the rest of the season. And so by the end, you still have guys that get hurt, that still have soft tissue injuries or tendons or ligaments or whatever those kinds of issues are, because the accumulated load of strain on their bodies is so high. You combine that with some other, like the change in the game rules. You can only have so many back-to-backs and what that's done to practice schedules. And I don't actually think the schedule has been helpful to players where they've tried to do some things and there's been some unintended consequences. But you combine that with the undeniable fact that the game is just much more physically demanding now, and the fact that they're not then lessening the load in total volume. And I think the easy solution to me, Anthony, is let's eliminate all back-to-backs. Let's try to get guys practicing again where you can have a more controlled environment. And the way to do that is not by extending the season, it's by shortening it. It's not to say like, okay, let's take more time. It's like, no, let's shorten the season. That way, if we go down to 66 games, and there's a reason for that number, it has to do with like the amount of home and away and all those kinds of things. 66 is a number that people like say is the right number, the people that have studied this. Then, if your superstars are playing 64 of 66, great. We get a better product. You make up the financial difference by having more games on national TV, which is where all the money is. You could also, by the way, as a byproduct, this is just a nice little thing, the WNBA probably needs some room to expand. That would buy you a little bit of time to expand the W, and considering they're ultimately under the same umbrella, like you can make some more money that way. And it's better for the players. It's better for the sport. Yes, there's complications because now all of a sudden, like, is anyone ever going to catch LeBron James' scoring record? Probably not. Not if you chop off, whatever number of games that is, 14, 16 games a year. Probably not. But, like, if that means that whoever the guy that would gets to play an 18-year career instead of a 14, or that 15-year career that was going to be 15, that he plays 15 healthy seasons versus 10 healthy seasons, one, maybe he does get the record. Two, that's better for the sport. And I think that is where we are. And a guy like Jason Tatum, who's been an absolute model of consistency, he's barely missed any time ever in his career. But the last couple of years, he made the finals in 2022, made the finals in 2024. Here we are in 2025. Bang. Done. Achilles. Like, it's how many more dudes do we want hurt? And how many NBA champions do we want to just be the team that survived the injuries by the end, as opposed to truly the best team over the course of a season?
No, I think that's a valid point. And you can even take a look at Kawhi Leonard. This year, they sort of kind of like low managed him. Like, he didn't play a lot of back-to-backs, and he eventually was able to make it to the end of the season because, again, Kawhi's thing was he would play all these games, and towards the end of the season, his body would start to break down, and he will always miss the playoffs. So I think this year, the fact that, they did a good job of just managing his workload, it allowed us to be able to see Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs, which we all wanted to see. And guess what? He ultimately ended up playing well. You look at a team like the Cavs, who are, for most of the season, they've been, pretty healthy. And then it wasn't until as of late, the Darius Garlands of the world, the Evan Mobleys, the DeAndre Hunters, they start, breaking down because, again, like, yes, they are young guys, but at the same token, it is a lot of wear and tear on the body. And playing 82 games and then also expecting to elevate your level of play when it gets to the playoffs, that can be a little taxing on the body. So
it's too much. It's just flat too much to expect the human body to handle. And I don't know how much more evidence we need. And I realize that everyone's going to be really reluctant to reduce games because, like, oh my God, the money. But you got to be willing to invest in your product. And your product in this case is your people. And I just think that's the better play for the NBA moving forward. All right, speaking of the W, the Mystics kick off their season on Friday, and we're hitting you with one interview every single day leading into their season opener. Today, the 4th overall pick in the WNBA draft, Kiki Iriafen, with us here on the Hoffman Show next. if I could just pull a piece of paper out and be like, all right, Kiki, I got a brand deal for you that you're not currently working with right now.
Okay.
Who's the brand that you want to see on that piece of paper?
This is supposed to be a hard question?
Mystics Media Day continuing on the Team 980. Craig Hoffman with Kiki Iriafen, 4th overall pick in the 2025 WNBA draft. Kiki, great to see you. I feel like, you do the off-camera thing, and then you say the same stuff on camera, and like, I've said nice to meet you 3 times. She's lovely. It's great to meet her. We don't need to do that again.
He's lovely as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, unbeknownst to you, I talked to Lindsay Gottlieb a couple weeks ago.
Oh, gosh.
Don't worry. She had amazing things to say. Okay. And the thing that struck me about what I talked about with Lindsay that also struck me about you at the press conference, and really, frankly, even on draft night, was you are someone who has both style and substance. And that, like, is in your game. And obviously, on the draft night, you have this beautiful dress, but it's also paying homage to your heritage. And I brought that up to Coach, and she was like, that is who she is. So I'm curious for you, like, living that experience, living that life. Yeah. Like, how much fun do you have leaning into, sometimes just being light and fun, sometimes, having those deeper conversations and the different dynamics that you get to experience with people? Good softball, easy question to start. Not deep at all.
Just super easy. Oh, no, I love it. I kind of talk with my teammates, and we joke that I have a bunch of different personas. Like, when I'm on the court, I can be, like, stone cold, but then I can also be very, like, joyous. But then off the court, I'm super bubbly. Like, I have such a loving personality. But I kind of love kind of mixing and matching depending on what the situation is. I can be very lighthearted and fun, but I could also be, like, very intentional about what I'm talking about. But I think it's just, like, all the places I've been. I went to Stanford. I went to a great high school. I went to USC. So a bunch of different areas that have helped shape me into this kind of shapeshifter, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's just something that I've kind of always been. I've always been someone that can kind of go with the flow of whatever situation I'm in.
Yeah, you could say shapeshifter. You also just say you have layers. It's you're dynamic.
I like that
like you have like we hear that phrase, right? Like a dynamic personality. But I think the thing that also strikes me is the intentionality. And like it's a little moment, but at the press conference, like people start asking questions. There's this rhyme or rhythm of like, we've all been through this a million times before. And you just like stop down and you're like, no, hi, hello, great to meet everybody. And I'm curious where that comes from. Like, is that your parents? Is that the community that raised you? Is that something that you kind of picked up at Stanford? Like, where does that very human touch come from?
I would say definitely my parents, kind of starting with them, like, having manners, being respectful to everybody around you. Like, you're never bigger than anybody, so I don't see myself as greater than whoever's around me or whoever's interviewing me or doing something for me. Like, I see us as equals, and I think also at my different institutions, Stanford, USC, like, same thing. When we left an arena, we cleaned up after ourselves. We said thank you to whoever helped us do something. So kind of just being respectful. Like, we're all humans at the end of the day, but I would say, like, with my family definitely started that with me.
Stanford was obviously an incredible experience for you, and then you make the shift to USC. And I talked to Lindsay about this obviously as well, but I want to hear your side of it. Like, why enter the portal, and then why USC, and what did you hope to get out of that experience? And then ultimately, did you get what you wanted out of it?
Yeah, it was a tough decision to leave Stanford, somewhere that I had kind of grown up into the person and player that I am today, and just leaving all my friends. I had a great thing going, so it was really hard to leave that. But I really had to reflect on, what do I want in the next year? I wanted to win a national championship. I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to prepare myself for the WNBA. And I felt like going to USC would help me do that. It was also close to home, which was something that was important to me in my last season, to have all the people that helped me get there to be able to see me consistently. But I think, USC really challenged me offensively, defensively, playing with other great superstars and great guards. That's what it's gonna be like in the league, and figuring out how can I make an impact, maybe if it's not all about me. So I think, I grew in a lot of aspects of my game. I grew mentally, I grew as a leader, and I think all of those things have already been translating in my 1 week that I've been with the Mystics, but it will continue to translate as rookie year is going to be hard. So going through all of that, I feel very confident because I've gone through stuff in the past.
I was also I was like surprised, but not, to learn that you graduated in Stanford 3 years too, which I'm only surprised because then it's like, how does someone do that? I couldn't graduate from Stanford if given all the time in the world, but that's okay. So you got all that done at Stanford, and then you go to USC, and I'd imagine also like there's a learning about learning that happens because you have to learn a new system. What did you learn about how you integrate new information as a basketball player, and then how does that help you as you get started in your WNBA career?
Yeah, I learned that I pick up things pretty fast, especially if it's visual. If you show me something visually, I'll get it immediately. sometimes the verbal cues, it's like, wait, what does that mean? But I'm a quick learner, and I'm someone that is not afraid to ask questions. So I'll ask my coach, like, what do you mean by this? What is this supposed to look like? I'd ask the returners, what does this look like? And I feel like the same thing here. Our coaches want us, as a rookie, you want to know it quickly, you want to know it fast. One take is kind of what they talk to us about. So something that I feel like USC has helped me, having to go through a whole new system in 1 year, and then doing the same thing now. So I see a lot of parallels in those two situations.
Stanford, there's a lot of eyes, a lot of attention. Obviously, Cam winds up going number 2 out of that, but I'd assume being in the Juju orbit was a whole different experience as well. What was that like to kind of be in that pressure cooker, knowing all the eyes are on, the gyms are full, there's celebrities sitting in front row, the whole deal?
That's the most exciting part. Like, you love playing out in a sold-out arena, sold-out crowd. You don't know which celebrity's going to pop up any single night. But I wouldn't say there was pressure. From that, I think that's what we strive for. We want that, and that just shows where the women's game has grown and gone into. But I think for me, it's just knowing that there's a bunch of eyes on you every single day, and that's your new normal.
And then the other thing, too, is the travel schedule had to be crazy last year because the Big Ten, boy, are they putting the big in it now. But that's also, this league is a nationwide league, and you might be here on a Tuesday and playing in Seattle on a Friday. So, doing the cross-country thing, it is what it is. So did you learn about, how to prepare your body, all those kinds of things? And was there, an experimentation phase almost with that, or did you kind of have a good plan, you think, going in that helped you handle that?
I think because I had already done most of my schooling, I don't know how I would have done it.
In the interview, you guys don't know yet, but Kiki said that I'm her favorite.
Yes, that's my fave.
She's a pretty good pick.
Anyway, no, I love Aaliyah, but I'm kind of salty because her Huskies beat me and ended my college career. So it's a little bit of bad blood, but not really.
Well, especially because she's out here claiming that's her championship too.
Exactly,
so
but
I could see that.
I digress.
You got the same jersey on now, so we're gonna have to eventually, maybe not I think you got to the rest of training camp.
Yes.
By the end of training camp, we're gonna have to put that to the side.
Yes.
But I think you're it's salties, and this is allowed for the moment.
Yes, exactly.
What were we talking about? Oh, your schooling was done. You had completed,
okay, yes, okay.
and then
so
travel
I was
and the
done
whole
with
deal.
my undergrad, so I didn't feel like the travel was as tough because I wasn't doing a lot of homework on the road. But I think the biggest thing I learned was recovery is super important. Being on the road, being in the plane for a lot of time, so being hydrated, recovery, and my school provided a lot of that. So definitely, I'll keep that up here.
Also, student athlete at some schools is let's just say skewed a little bit towards the athlete side. Stanford is not one of those schools.
At all.
What did you learn about time management as an 18, 19, and 20-year-old that you think will help you as a pro?
Yeah, it's important. Time management is important, and I think, my story just shows, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. It won't be easy, but, you can definitely do it. So I wouldn't say, you should sacrifice one. If you love, medicine, you should be able to do that and play basketball. So for me, it was just about putting my head down and understanding that I really want this engineering degree, so whatever it takes to do it, but I also really want to be the best of the best on the court. So I kind of just, sacrificed, maybe not going out to every single party, maybe sleeping a little bit less, but I wanted it really badly.
You and Georgia went to dinner the night before the draft. I asked her about this as well.
I was going to say, how do you know that?
Well, one, you guys said it at the press conference.
Okay.
And two, then I asked her about it because you guys said it at the press conference. But what was that like for you? She said you guys had the mutual friend. I think Agnes was a mutual friend.
Agnes.
I remembered. So how did you guys get connected? What did you guys talk about that night? And then I want your version of kind of that moment you see each other backstage after her name has been called. And you guys realize, oh, wow, we're really going to be teammates.
Yeah. So Georgia and I have always kind of known of each other, as you do in the basketball space. And then this past summer, we both got invited to the Nike camp. So we got to know each other, and we knew we had the mutual friend. So we connected a little bit. And then during draft, after having that Nike experience, we, connected a lot more. It was like we've been friends for years. And then the night before draft, we were like, let's just go get dinner. And we just kind of talked about what are we excited for, where do we want to go, what kind of all the emotions that we're feeling around draft. And then after I got picked, I went back. I was doing a bunch of media, and they were like, what, the 6th pick? And I said, what? I was like, guys, who? And they said Georgia. I said, no way. I literally grabbed my producer and I was like, Georgia, I love Georgia. We literally just hung out. We literally made a TikTok this morning, and for us to be teammates, I was just super excited, super special. And she's a great person, number one, has a great energy and really cares about other people. And she's a great guard on the floor, and she's always finding her big. So I'm excited to be her teammate and to play with her. But Yeah, I think, we were meant to be teammates, truly, just looking back on all of our experiences together.
Yeah, and I know Georgia and Sony have a great relationship going back a long time, too, and there's a lot of mutual respect there. So a heck of a trio that we get here in D.C. All right, last 2 questions. I'm going to have to save all the other ones I got for an interview later in the seasons. But 2 final questions that I'm asking everybody today.
Okay.
What's the story behind your jersey number?
Oh, my jersey number in high school, my coach allowed us to pick a number, and then I don't remember what number I picked, but she said, you can't have that number. And I was like, why? She's like, because you're going to wear 44. So it was actually assigned to me. And I was like, why? And she was like, well, it was my number, and I want you to take it far. So you wear 44.
So
I see. Yeah, I mean, she has great vision.
Shout her out.
Coach Melissa Hurley, and she's someone that's still in my life and someone that I love dearly, always texts me. But, yeah, and I can't imagine being any number other than 44.
I love it. All right, and then last but not least, this has been the one I've stumped people with all day. If I could just pull a piece of paper out and be like, all right, Kiki, I got a brand deal for you that you're not currently working with right now.
Okay.
Who's the brand that you want to see on that piece of paper?
This is supposed to be a hard question?
Oh, everyone's like, some people are like, I got a list, I got to pick one. You got someone? No.
Chanel, reach me. My Instagram is @Kiki Iriafen. Let's work together. Chanel.
Easy enough. Easy for Kiki. Kiki, this was so much fun. Thank you. We'll talk to you later in the season.
Thank you.
Anthony, you're so proud of yourself. And I get it. It's a good job by you.
Thank you, sir.
My wife is here, and so Anthony decided to play our first dance song from our wedding because Anthony's got a good file.
I think every time I see Rachel Ann, I will play this song.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Unless she has another preference.
No. Also, she can't hear you right now because she doesn't have headphones on.
Hey, Rachel, do you have another Beyonce preference?
Something from the Renaissance album.
Okay, say no more.
Yeah. She's not here very often, but just she happens to be here today, and just walked in. So Anthony gave her a proper introduction. Real things real people said into real microphones coming up next. Tomorrow on the show, we were going to talk about what's it called? We were going to talk about Regina Jackson, Jaden Daniels' mother, her interview with Ryan Clark on his podcast, the Pivot podcast. We obviously scratched that for today because of the NBA draft lottery going so sideways in so many ways. So we'll probably actually get to some of that on Thursday because I do want to talk about it because it is interesting. But tomorrow, Anthony, it's schedule release day.
Yes, sir.
So pretty excited about that. Anthony and I did one of the worst radio segments we've ever done in the history of our show at 5:45, trying to put together a schedule. But I think we salvaged it at 6. I think the schedule we wound up with and the conversation we had, that was good. If people wanted to check that out, skip 5:45. If you're a podcast listener and you catch the end of the show live and then you go back and listen to the rest of it, 4 o'clock hour, banger. Chase Hughes, awesome. 5:30 segment? What do we do at 5:30? Oh, we talked about Madrid. That was a really funny segment. We got real sideways. Anthony forgot what the word siesta meant. And oh yeah, it was a whole thing. That just you can skip 5:45. You just fast forward to the end, mark that as played, and keep on going about your life. Just friendly advice from me to you.
Yeah, we don't need that.
That wasn't our best work.
Nah.
Fine. I'll take responsibility on that one. Kind of called an audible on the fly and couldn't execute the play. Ran us into a bad look, so to speak. Any other housekeeping, Anthony, from the show today that we would like to alert people to?
Who's our Mystics player for tomorrow?
That's a great question, Anthony. Tomorrow on the show, people will hear one of my favorite conversations from Media Day. I really enjoy Kiki. Sonia Citron's a very different conversation. Very, very thoughtful. Very introspective, very self-aware, and I really enjoy Sony. So Sonia Citron tomorrow. And then on Thursday, you'll hear from Brittany Sykes, and then Friday, Sydney Johnson. Also another fun thing that I've got tabbed for later this week, Anthony. Have you ever seen the Subway Takes series on Instagram or YouTube?
I haven't seen them, but you've been sending them to me, so I've slowly but steadily added them all.
Actually, I think there's one in Real Things today.
One today.
We'll play the one from Jose Andres of what's a chef or what is cooking. Yeah, I'm gonna pull that one. So basically, it's this guy who takes the subway in New York, and he has famous people with him, and they record takes. They record conversations, and he had Asia Wilson on, and Asia did a whole bit about how reporters should have had to play the sport, and I think it's actually a fun conversation. So Thursday we'll try to have it on the show. Right now, though, now that I've set ourselves up for plenty of real things real people said in real microphones, it's time for real things real people said in real microphones.
Real things.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Real people.
5 and 11. Not very good.
Said into real microphones.
The culture is actually damn good.
All right, since I just mentioned it, let's go back all the way to our folder yesterday, Anthony. I can pull that up over here. And Jose Andres, the chef, was on Subway Takes and tried to convince the host of the show that everybody can cook. This is how that went.
So what's your take?
Everybody can cook.
100% disagree. I can't cook. You're wrong.
Let me make my point.
How am I making your point? I can't cook.
You can cook.
No, I can't.
You can. Do you use a microwave?
Do I use a microwave? No, I don't own a microwave.
Do you open a can?
I've opened a can. I've been known to open
Opening a can is cooking. Do you bite into the apple?
Yes, that's eating.
No, that's cooking. So cooking is anything that allows you to eat. Letting a strawberry ripe on the plant, in a way, that's cooking.
That's letting God cook.
Okay, but somebody's cooking.
Yeah, he's cooking. Let him cook.
Everybody can cook. When you forget something in your fridge, that starts developing green things, that's cooking too.
No, that's not cooking. That's mold.
Correct, but you've been cooking in the process.
I will say, to this point, I do not think Jose Andres is winning the argument, Anthony.
No, he's not.
Let's see if he can recover.
No, you haven't been cooking.
You cannot eat it anymore, but that's cooking. Cooking is when you are able to feed somebody.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be heat involved.
Okay. I see. I still disagree.
Okay, can you boil water?
Yes, I can boil water.
That's cooking.
No, that is not cooking.
It is cooking because boiling water is very simple principle.
Is there a difference between a chef and the person who boils water? Are you a chef?
No, I'm a cook.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm an expert on cooking.
What's the difference between a chef and a cook?
A chef knows what to do in a kitchen.
And a cook is just boiling water?
It's clueless.
Okay.
He only cooks. A chef directs others to cook.
Oh, a chef is a director.
A director.
Ah.
Maybe he doesn't know how to play the flute, but he can direct the many musicians. That's the difference between a chef and a cook.
I love the authenticity of in the background. This is real because stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Yeah.
It's real New York subway.
Oh, what?
Beans.
Wait, why do you have beans in your pocket?
He does pull out a can of
I
beans.
was coming to see you. Think I have a fork. Oh, yeah.
You have a fork
Also
on
has
you?
a
Because I always have.
Always keep that fang on you.
I love this.
Can I have a bite?
Open the bottle.
Oh my god.
If you open it, you cook it. You're proving me right.
Adds a little hot
I
sauce.
just cooked.
Yeah.
I just cooked.
Holy. Yeah. You like it spicy?
I like it spicy.
Clear up the closing doors, please.
So good.
In the subway, I prove you that I'm right.
You know what? I agree with you. You just cooked. I just cooked. I ate beans on the train. Out of a can.
Are we supposed to eat in the train?
I think he got there by the end, Anthony. He opened a can of beans and put some hot sauce in it. That's cooking.
I guess he was cooking then.
Not all food has to be hot. There's a lot of skill in preparing cold foods.
Oh.
That's cooking. Letting food mold in the refrigerator, not cooking.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I guess technically that's cooking. It's just bad cooking.
Yeah, I'm just not eating that.
No. Where do you go on the scale from microwave to boiling water to cooking?
I do it all.
You do it, Anthony. What's the dish? What's your go-to dish? What's the thing that like you're cooking for your family, cooking for a lady, cooking for your friends?
Salmon, rice, broccoli.
Salmon, rice, broccoli.
My favorite meal prep. Salmon is my favorite food, I think.
How do you season or flavor your salmon?
So I start off marinate. Well, how do I? Hey, you put me on the spot.
You said it's your go-to. This shouldn't have been that hard.
I add some olive oil. I go garlic powder, salt, pepper.
Okay.
I have this salmon, cedar plank salmon seasoning.
Oh, okay.
I sprinkle that on there. I put it in the oven, and then boom.
And then boom. That's our show. We'll see you tomorrow for NFL schedule release.